Nepalese Revolution, Woodbridge train wreck. A Pennsylvania Railroad passenger train derails near Woodbridge Township, New Jersey, killing 85 people and injuring over 500 people in one of the worst train disasters in American history. The year is 1951, and this car is a total legend. Fabulous Hudson Hornet. But before getting into all of it, I'm Jay. Welcome to What It's Like, the automotive channel that loves the lost and forgotten cars. We cover the classics, vintage, some exotics. We love the orphan cars. Post 4 to 5 times a week. Engine episodes on Wednesdays. Dive in deep with specs, period correct ads. Talk history, button switches and knobs. But most importantly, we show what these cars are like. If that sounds like a channel that you will totally dig, subscribe and hit the bell icon next to it to never miss a video. 1951 Hudson model lineup. You could say there was a junior series and a senior series, but there was only one junior model, the Pacemaker, riding a wheelbase of 119 inches. It also had a different dashboard, as well as it was powered by a smaller 6-cylinder engine. Everything else rides a longer 124-inch wheelbase. It's also important to note that most everything has different engines from one another to separate the models. Super 6 Custom, Commodore 6. All new for 1951 was the Hornet. Commodore 8 Custom was at the top. 1951 Hudson Hornet could be had as a 4-door sedan, 2-door club coupe, and 2-door convertible. The Hudson Hornet would go by Model 7A. Hudson introduced the Hornet in 1950 for the 1951 model year, and it would produce it until the end of Hudson. In 1957, there was 2 generations. 1951 falls in the first generation, which was produced from 1951 to 1954. Second generation was 55 through 57. It's important to note 51 is often called step-down Hudson. We'll get back to that in a minute. 55 and 57 was after the Nash merger. They become AMC, one of the most overlooked, underrated companies to ever spawn God's green earth. It was more or less a reworked or rebadged Nash, and they were built on a unit body without the step-down design. What is the step-down design? Hudson started the step-down design 2 years prior in 1948. This design, the floor pans, are recessed within the frame rails instead of sitting on top of a straight ladder frame, as was the case with most cars from the period. The step-down design would be adopted later and called perimeter frame, but it all started in 1948 with Hudson. You literally stepped down when you got into a Hudson, and because you sat lower in a Hudson, it meant the center of gravity also switched, which made the Hornet a great contender for the NASCAR circuit, dominating stock car racing in the early 50s. And I know they didn't race the convertible, but we need to talk about a few NASCAR connections, because who knows when we'll get this opportunity again. Guy by the name of Marshall Teague, while in Michigan, drove up to Hudson Motor Car Company unannounced, no appointment, and by the end of their visit, they formed a relationship with Hudson. Because in the background, you have to remember this whole thing called NASCAR, they were looking for financial backers and sponsors for races. They went to AAA, which was the American Automobile Association, who turned them down 2 years prior. So this was a huge win. Also have to remember, NASCAR was founded in 1948. Yes, it goes back even further than that, back in the 30s with the moonshining days. This relationship Marshall Teague had with Hudson just adds to the legend of the Hornet. Generally regarded as being the first stock car racing team backed by a Detroit auto manufacturer, during 1951 and 1952, Marshall Teague was a member of the Hudson Motors team, driving the legendary fabulous Hudson Hornet stock car. Marshall Teague is also responsible for tuning the 308 cubic inch displacement engine to get the most out of it. Put it into perspective, Hornet used a big inline flathead 6 that made 145 horsepower. The Oldsmobile Rocket V8 was rated at 135 horsepower. The Hudson made 10 more ponies with 2 less cylinders, and it was flathead versus overhead valve on the Oldsmobile. That in combination with the fact that the center of gravity was lower on the Hudson Hornet, could handle the curves. Hudson would race the Hornet from 1951 through 1954. Teague and Smokey Yunick, both of which will get episodes of their own eventually one day, won 27 of 34 major stock car events. Other people who raced the Hornet included, but not limited to, Herb Thomas, Dick Rathman, Al Keller, Frank Mundy, and Tim Flock. Let's talk specs. 208.5 inches long, 77.4 inches wide, 60.4 inches tall. It rides a wheelbase of 124 inches. It weighs 3,785 pounds. Price, $3,100, which is equivalent to you spending $36,697.92 in the year 2023. Total 1951 Hudson production was 131,915 units, of which total Hornet was 43,666, and of that number, total convertibles was 551, making them pretty rare. Moving on to engine. Only one engine available for the Hudson Hornet. That was the 308 cubic inch displacement Flathead 6 Twin H 5-liter engine, making 145 horsepower, 3,800 RPM. 257 pound-feet or 348 newton meters at 1800 RPM. With a bore of 3.8 inches and a stroke of 4.5 inches, compression was 7.2 to 1. It featured 4 main bearings. Pistons were made of aluminum alloy. It holds 7 quarts of oil, half a quart for the filter, for a total of 7.5 quarts. Let's talk styling. Just look at all of the bright work in this front design. Look at how the bumpers are designed with these overriders. Notice how smooth everything is. There isn't any ridges or anything. Turn signal indicators. Headlights with these nice bright bezels. I love these markers here.
Above that, but below Jaguar.
I absolutely love this line, how it almost makes like a triangle with the Hudson emblem there, which looks like it lights up. Super cool. There is this channel that runs the belt line of the car. Beautiful Hornet badge here. It's got rocker trim at the bottom, as well as a bead that runs on top of the rocker trim. The wheel wells are not flared, but they're kind of rolled. Just look at all the sculpting in the hood. Has these nice beautiful lines going towards the cowl vent.
That side of the engine.
Look at how these windows are designed. They curve as it goes towards the center. This car is a convertible, but it has a sun visor. The antenna is right there at the top, where it should be, in my opinion. Look at how this protrudes out from the body. Also take a look at how all of this is designed back here. It has skirts. Gas goes in there. Just look at how these taillights are designed with this top piece with the Hudson logo. Overriders. License plate lights are inside these bumperettes. Beautiful Hudson badge here with Twin H above it and Hornet. Before getting inside, just notice all of the textures in this door handle pad. Also look at all of the textures in the door handle itself. This door has quite a lot of heft to it. Look, it's got electric windows, armrest. Notice how this is all designed. There's an ashtray here. Door handle to get out, window crank for the vent window. Coming down inside the pedal box down here, high beam switch, brake pedal, gas pedal. Just look at how small that brake pedal is. Hand brake. Take a look at this interior. On to the button switches and knobs, but before we get into it, just take a look at this dashboard. It's one of the absolute epic dashboards of all time in my humble opinion. Very bright, very colorful. I love the typography that they used and font. It just looks absolutely awesome in my humble opinion. Starting at the top of the dash, traffic light finder prism, which comes in handy if your car has an external visor, speedometer with odometer inside of it just below it. Oil pressure and amp meter are idiot lights. Hudson pioneered idiot lights. Gasoline gauge and coolant temperature in the center. Just below that, windshield wipers and headlights. Clock, drive modes read, neutral, 4, drive, 3, low, reverse for the dual range hydromatic. Below the speedometer is the starter button, weather control, cooler to the left, warmer to the right, blower motor just to the right of that, key, lighter, radio, heater, ashtray, glove box / locker box. There it is, Hudson Twin H, 6-volt battery. There's the horn there, and the starters down there.
They filled up terrible.
Coil with distributor. These are air cleaners for the carburetors on the other side. The way I understand it is this carburetor feeds those first 3 cylinders, and then this carburetor feeds the back cylinders. This is here so the gas doesn't fall onto the exhaust manifold and you have a really bad day. Another horn over here. On the positive side, epic car with an incredible backstory with NASCAR heritage, so much so that Disney made it a main character in the Cars movie franchise. This is one of the greatest post-war cars ever. True champion, fine performance, great handling, or so I'm told. I would really love to drive one of these cars. Due to the low center of gravity, beautiful dashboard, and interior, built solid quality automobile that I would personally love to own one day. Against it, not much, but can be thirsty. Alright, now it's time for Would You Rather 2 scenarios today. In the first scenario, would you rather have a 1952 Hudson Hornet or 1951 Hudson Hornet or 1953 Hudson Hornet? I'm going to leave this here for a minute. If you need more time, feel free, pause the video. Moving on to the second scenario. Would you rather have a 1951 Oldsmobile Rocket 88 or 1951 Hudson Hornet or 1951 Studebaker Commander? Once again, got to leave this here for a minute. If you need more time, feel free, pause the video. Now it's time for Name That Tune. First person to get both the name of the band and the song title correctly in the comment section will have their comment pinned to the top of it. Thank you all so much for coming out and watching this. If you'd like to get in touch with me, shoot me a comment in the comment section below. I read and answer all comments posted because this is more of a community than an actual car channel. Second way is we have a Facebook group that correlates with this YouTube channel. If you don't have Facebook and you would still like to get a hold of me, send me an email. All of that will be linked in the description below. Just know I appreciate everything that you guys bring in the comment section. And until next time, toodaloo! But you're my teenage queen, oh my queen. You're the prettiest, loveliest girl that I've ever seen. I've ever seen.